welcome. Hi, friends. Welcome to I Scream, You Scream, your weekly scoop of the most chilling histories, mysteries, and paranormal perplexities. I'm Gina.
And I'm Kathryn.
And every month we choose a new topic and a new flavor of ice cream to go along with it. Welcome to Creepy Kids Month.
Yay!
Talking all about creepy kids. And I am so excited to hear what flavor of ice cream you're eating, Kathryn, because the only prompt was our favorite childhood ice creams.
So mine, I have to go into a whole thing about mine. Should I just tell you what it is and then I'll explain later, or should I do it now?
Oh, do it now. Give me the whole thing.
Okay. It's not that dramatic, but if you tuned in last episode, you know that I was hemming and hawing. Like, I did not know what to do. It's because I'm so indecisive. And what my actual favorite would be, if anyone did it correctly, which they don't, would be cookie dough. But I didn't do cookie dough. I did not do cookie dough because I don't like just plain vanilla ice cream. And that's what most cookie dough is, because no one ever does enough cookie dough. And I didn't have time to make my own. So my other favorite ice cream growing up was always an Oreo Blizzard from Dairy Queen with extra Oreo.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got like what was left of the vanilla from the Neapolitan tub that I have, and I crushed up and mixed in a bunch of Oreos. So I have my own little Oreo Blizzard this month.
Those are the two. Well, actually, before I get into my one, what's your ideal ice cream base for a cookie dough one?
So, see, this is a whole other rabbit hole. So I like it with vanilla if there's a ton of cookie dough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there's never enough, like cookie dough, if you just buy it at the store, it's usually like you have to get through 3 spoonfuls of vanilla before you hit your first cookie dough.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually Dairy Queen had a thing called a cookie jar, which was vanilla ice cream and crushed up Oreo, chocolate chip cookies and cookie dough. And they had like chocolate sauce in it mixed in. Oh my God, it was the best thing ever.
That sounds fucking good.
But that wasn't a childhood favorite. I didn't discover that until I was older. So yeah, I would say just standard cookie dough. I don't know if I've had it. I'm sorry, I meant standard vanilla. I don't know if I've had it with anything else. Why?
I didn't know if you were like, I only like cookie dough with like chocolate
secret?
ice cream or something. No, I don't know.
That sounds great. I've just never had that. I've only ever had like standard. I'm imagining it would be good with like hot fudge and all that kind of stuff on it.
Agreed. Like a cookie dough
if there's
sundae.
Enough cookie dough though. That's the struggle.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, what do you have?
On that note, I'm eating cookie dough ice cream.
I was wondering if you were going to. You've mentioned liking, we've talked about this in the past. I don't think I ever went into my whole thing, but I was wondering if you're going to do cookie dough. Did you make it or did you find a good one?
God, no. It's our boys, Ben and Jerry.
Ah!
That was my go-to growing up. I do have one small gripe with this one. Yeah. 2 small gripes. One, not enough cookie dough, but there never is. And also there's something about the texture of their cookie dough. Like the sugar's a little bit too crunchy. I still love it. It was my favorite as a kid. As an adult, if I had to pick one little thing to harp on, it'd probably be that. But I still love it.
Oh, okay. You smiled and I was hoping that was why. I was hoping it's
because you chose it was funny that you mentioned Oreo because cookies and cream was my secondary.
So mine was always between cookie dough and cookies and cream. I was always self-conscious about cookies and cream because people would talk shit about cookies and cream.
It's so
good. Did you ever get this?
No.
People are always like, oh, it's so boring. It's so basic. I'm like, what?
No, it's not.
What? It's so good. I love it. Yeah. So basically, my whole thing is anything with cookies in it because my actual favorite dessert of all time is cookies. So any ice cream with cookies in it, that is actually my favorite.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So I love that we both have cookie ones.
Me too. So this month we're eating Oreo ice cream and cookie dough ice cream for this episode anyway. Who knows? Maybe we'll go on a little tour day childhood. We'll per the chain letter we unfortunately cursed ourselves with, just a reminder that since you're listening to this right now, you need to share a link to this episode with a friend or you're cursed. Sorry about that. Good news is there's one way to get out of it. And that's if you leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to us on. So if you want to be cursed, it's really none of our business. But if you want to break it, you now have the tools to do so. Love you so much. Grab a spoon and let's dig in.
Yay. Yum. This is good. We never really did Ben & Jerry's when we were little.
It was a treat.
Like a,
yeah, it was a special
that's the thing.
One.
I know I had it, but it was never. When I was really little, I didn't love the bits so much. Like the stuff that we bought at home, I would just usually have strawberry. But yeah, only Dairy Queen was like my gateway into having bits in my ice cream.
Same. I've definitely told you this before. Snickers Blizzard with extra Snickers.
Oh, I know.
You fucking can't get better than that. I just didn't want to make it. And I also didn't want to go like too kiddish, because if we're going technically correct in terms of Gina lore, for a long time I was a chocolate and vanilla swirl kid, but I don't want to eat that in my adult life. Cookie dough was always up there, so I just picked cookie dough.
Yeah. I was really little. My best friend across the street, I think she would get swirl. I'd be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, man.
Like, what? It's magical.
I remember when my dad told me that we could do that, because we were sitting at Dairy Queen, me, him, and my sister. Mm-hmm. They were eating Blizzards because they were cool older people. And I was going to get like just a vanilla cone. And I was talking to my dad and I was like, I can't decide if I want vanilla or chocolate. And he's like, you can do both. First time my mind was ever blown. I've never been the same. And now I have an ice cream podcast.
Oh, I have an ice cream story from when I was little too. So to this day, as the fully grown tax-paying woman that I am one of the slowest eaters ever. I ate very slowly. And okay, this is like a whole big thing. There was this place called Circus Playland. It was in some town outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but it had a clown as the logo. And it was like where you went for your birthday or like Girl Scout events or like whatever. It was kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese, but not. That's the best way I can describe it. And it was in the strip mall thing. And a few doors down was this ice cream place that you would always go before and or after you went to Circus Playland. So that was our ice cream spot for a while. So every fucking summer we'd go and get this ice cream. And there was this one summer that I was like insistent that I was a big girl enough to have a cone and not need a dish and spoon.
Oh no.
And to this day, I eat way too slowly to eat an ice cream cone. And so I was sitting there licking my cone. And as the legend goes, the ice cream was just like dripping all over my body. And my mom insists that I only took one lick per like 5 minutes. I was like, that is such an exaggeration. That's not true. But they insist that's how slowly I was eating this thing. And I do remember being alarmed at how like sticky I got. Like I remember this happening. I don't remember it being as dramatic as they say it was. There was melted ice cream on the ground and all over my outfit and hands and face and body. And it was like my parents' nightmare. I just remember my dad being like, please let this be over soon. He had time to have like 6 cones by the time I finished mine. And yeah, that's my going out for ice cream start. We just went out for ice cream the other night and I had a cone and I was struggling. I was struggling real hard.
A story. What did you get?
Yeah, that's right. We went to Scratch Ice Cream. They're so good. And I got, you know what I got? It was, I don't remember what it was called, but it was vanilla with bits of Oreo in it and M&Ms mixed in, like crushed up M&Ms mixed in.
Nice.
It was good. But yeah, it was the last scoop from that tub. We went kind of shortly before, like not a lot of people were coming in after us. So she gave me it was a very big scoop. She just gave me what was left and it was like, it was too big. I was appreciative. No regrets, but I was kind of struggling through it. I do need a dish. I love a cone, but I do need a dish.
A dish takes the pressure off of it. You can get a cone and then just ask for a dish and stick it in the dish.
I know, I need to.
This is completely unrelated, but I have to tell you something because I don't think I've told you yet, and I think you're going to be excited about it.
Oh God, what?
So I started watching Buffy for the first time in my life, ever.
Okay.
And that's it. That's the end of the story.
Oh my God. My heart just stopped.
I couldn't tell from your reaction.
Well, it's because the pressure's on. Like, now you're going to have an opinion on it. And my favorite show in the history of all shows. So I'm very scared about whether or not you're going to like it.
Very much so far. I'm enjoying it a lot. How far are you? We just finished season 1.
Oh my God, you're far. Mm-hmm. I love season 1. Season 1, and I'm telling you this to prepare you, season 1's one of the best seasons.
Okay.
So like it gets very different. It's not the best season for any Buffy fans out there. That's not what I'm saying. There's like seasons 1 through 3 are like the fan favorites.
Okay, good to know.
So just keep that in mind. Where I like my favorite episode of all time is season 3, episode 1.
My favorite thing about Buffy so far, and this is probably just down to me not knowing my pop culture, I didn't know Buffy was girly, and I'm so fucking excited about it.
It's the best part. She does get less girly as time goes on, but it's because she has to, because it's her destiny, unfortunately.
The Slayer.
To, be the Slayer, and, she has to be all tough and scary. But who she is naturally is this, like, cute little blonde cheerleader mall girl. I love that. Yeah.
I love that. Also, Giles is so fucking hot.
Giles is the best. Giles is so hot. I'm obsessed with Giles. I'm madly in love with Giles. I have been my whole life. Yes. And I have so much I want to say, but I can't say it. I love Giles. You know what really is freaking me out right now in my like real life is I'm at the point where I'm like, my next rewatch, whenever I get to my next, we're on season 4 because Phil's also never seen it, so we're rewatching it.
It's the year. It's finally time.
Yeah, and whenever I get around to my next rewatch, I'm going to be older than Giles, probably.
How old was he?
He's like in his 30s.
He's in his 30s?
I don't watch it every year. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. People looked older in the 90s.
Mid-40s.
No.
Still hot.
We love Spike in this household. I'm a big Spike girl.
Because he's a bad boy, isn't it? Isn't that it?
He sure is.
Okay.
But he's not a bad boy in like bitch-ass Angel in the way that he's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy who has a soul. I don't need a soul.
Angel's like the equivalent of like, he's like that guy who is acting like he's breaking your heart for your own good. And it's like, let me make my own decisions, bitch boy. I hate Angel. I read him.
Twilight.
Sorry.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah. He seems like the framework for Edward Cullen, doesn't he?
I'm sure he is. I'm positive that she had inspiration from him because like it's that whole vibe. Yeah. I'm not an Angel fan. I liked him when I was little because like in my head because I used to watch it with my dad. So in my head it was like Angel's the good guy, Spike's the bad guy. And then when I was like the further it got going and the deeper I got into puberty, I was like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
I've been had. We've all been lied to here.
I love when you say I've been had. I've been had.
People have me all the time. I just like no idea what's going on at any point in my life. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk more about it because now I'm just like, I love Buffy. Okay. So, Abilene, Texas. It's a small city in West Texas. It's about 150 miles west of Fort Worth. I don't know how many kilometers. I'm sorry. I forgot to look. But it's like close-ish from American standards and very, very far from UK standards. So Texas is real big. Basically, the picture I'm painting is it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Flat as far as the eye can see. Like not a whole lot going on in this small city in Texas. I think their biggest claim to fame is a military base, and they have a bunch of Christian colleges, and that's pretty much it. Think small town out west, cowboy vibes. There's definitely tumbleweeds there, but it's a city. So it's 1996, and there's a man named Brian Bethel, who was a young journalist that worked for the Abilene Reporter News, which according to his LinkedIn, he still works there. So good on you. We got a career guy. So one day in 1996, Brian was sitting in his car in the parking lot of a movie theater in Abilene, and he was writing out a check. There was... I love this. This is so like 1996. There was a drop box for his internet provider in this parking lot. So he was sitting there writing out a check to pay his internet bill.
I love that.
Forgot that was a thing. That's such a vibe. Yes.
Love it.
So he's doing this, minding his own business, and two young boys approach his car. Later, he would say that he guessed them to be around like 9 to 12 years old. And they knocked on his window, like the window of his car, and they asked for a ride to their house because they wanted to go home and get some cash so they could go see this movie at the movie theater. At first, nothing seemed weird. Like, it's a little weird that two kids would ask a strange guy for a ride to their house, but it was 1996. Stranger danger was relatively new. Not like super new, but like, you know, it's a small southern city. It's not that weird that two kids would ask a member of their community to take them home. You know what I mean? Like, it just, it seems weird to us now, but it wasn't the weirdest thing ever, you know? Okay. So, despite this, the fact that nothing super out of the ordinary relative to time and place, Brian still felt off. He thought it was very strange, and it wasn't just strange to him that they were asking for help. He felt strange just about them. Like, they were kind of creeping him out a little bit. He said that the boys both spoke in a way that felt very unnatural. They were too confident and too mature for their age. It just felt there was just this weird disconnect. He was just like, who are these kids? What do you want? Like, it just, something felt off to him. He noticed that their bodies were very rigid. They were standing very straight and proper and just like kind of giving him the heebie-jeebies. They were also, I'm going to say, kind of overly insistent that they be let in his car. Like, he originally said no, like, I'm just trying to pay my bill and getting out of here. He's not trying to like hang out. He's not there for a movie. He was just kind of passing through. And they kept pushing and trying to get in his car and, making excuses for why they needed a ride. And they were just very insistent. And he was just getting a weird vibe from these kids. Which is kind of weird. Like, you gotta think of it the other way around. Like, you're supposed to be scared of, well, you're not supposed to be scared of adults, but like the whole stranger danger thing was like, don't get in the car with an adult because they could be creepy. And this adult in the car is creeped out by these kids trying to get in his car.
That is, it's
just weird.
That turns it on its head. That is fucking weird. That's giving vampire vibes with like the waiting to be invited in almost.
Yes. Yep, and yes, that's kind of how he described it. Like, they were very rigid, very like, just there was something about them that felt inhuman. I don't know if he ever used those exact words, but that was the vibe he was describing. It was like these were kids allegedly, that was the vibe. They're just very pushy but proper. I don't know, it was weird. Which I guess is also kind of a southern thing, so I can't even like.
But when I picture like a 12-year-old insistent and proper is not what I like. No. Insistent, sure, maybe about like
but
they
in
want
like a
video
tantrum way,
in a tantrum way, or in like a whiny way, not in a please sir, may I have a ride to my mother's house for some money? Like not like that.
Yes, exactly. So at some point in this conversation, I don't know when, but he notices their eyes. They were completely black. And I don't just mean the color of the iris, that is a normal color for people to have as their eyes, but their entire eyeball, where their eyeball would be, was allegedly it was just like a black hole where their eyes were supposed to be. No iris, no white, no pupil, nothing. So he's stunned. He's like, what the fuck is going on? This is weird. He's completely caught off guard. Suddenly very aware that he may not be talking to two children and he doesn't know what's happening, so he just gets out of there.
I'm shocked that this guy didn't immediately see the black eyes.
So yeah, and that's why I don't know. This could be one of those things where like this whole thing I'm describing actually took like 4 seconds or something, you know what I mean? Like, he saw it right away and then he freaked out and they were insistent and like whatever. Or if this was like, maybe they had regular eyes and then they changed. I don't know. I'm not totally clear on that part of the story. Yeah. But either way, he noticed them, said, fuck this, fuck these kids, and bounced.
Yep.
After he got home, he would later share his encounter on some random paranormal internet forum. I don't even know if it was specifically paranormal, but he was on this internet forum where he felt like he should share it because he wanted to know if anyone else had ever experienced something similar. Like, maybe it was a local forum or something. I'm not totally sure exactly. I couldn't find the specific name of the forum he was in.
It was the Wild West of the internet. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I don't even know if they were categorized at all. Yeah. So basically, he was trying to figure out if anyone had ever met weird kids that had black eyes, and he was describing their physical appearance and the way they moved, and just wondering if anyone had ever seen or experienced anything similar. And it started to gain traction. People were like, what is this? Like, I've never heard of anything like this. Like, there's some creepy kids over in Texas. It grew to be so popular within the forum that it eventually spread until it kind of became its own urban legend. And it would become officially, I'll say, the first big piece of documented evidence of black-eyed kids, also known as black-eyed children, also known as BEKs. I don't know why people shorten it. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like, if you say the name, you're cursed, or if it's just black-eyed kids is a mouthful. I don't know.
Yeah, but
do you know?
I get it when you're typing, but also when if you're saying it and it's the same amount of syllables, just say
it. That's why I'm not sure, because I wonder. I don't know. It's maybe, I don't know. I don't know why it's shortened. that's I'm just gonna leave it there.
Looks cool. Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, maybe I'll say BEKs.
I do. See, every time
isn't that the one guy's name?
BTK,
the killer.
Yeah, that's who I keep thinking about when you say BEK. Too. Yeah.
Every time I say it, I'm like, wait, that's not it. But I feel like that's his name.
He was a bitch little motherfucker too. I never want to talk about that man.
Dude, that guy was scary because he was just like a normal fucking guy.
He was a fucking...
Except not. He was like a family man.
He was pathetic.
So gross.
No, I have so much to say about BTK.
I'm like about to fall down this rabbit hole because like he's one that I'm like legit scared of, because he just like, he's one of those guys that just seems like someone's dad. You know what I mean? And he like genuinely, oh my God, wait. That was literally, his MO was so similar to Black-Eyed Kids, because he would like pretend to be like a maintenance worker, and he'd get into your house and like then shit would happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's literally what Black-Eyed Kids do. So BEK, BTK, it all sucks. It's all scary. Don't trust anyone with those initials. Anyway, I don't even know where we are in the story anymore. I'm like lost I'm like in my own conspiracy theory right now. Okay. So after this initial story, countless other people also came forward and were saying that they also had very similar experiences with children who matched the description that Brian gave. This sort of became one of those things where it was kind of its own little internet legend, and the way it spread kind of far and wide. It gave people permission to share their own story that maybe happened decades prior, but they just didn't want to sound crazy or didn't really understand what they had experienced. Now they're hearing other people have similar experiences, and they're like, okay, that's weird that you saw these creepy little kids with black eyes, because I did too. So a lot of people fully jumped on and believed. They didn't really doubt it. You know, there was a lot of people who fully accepted it as real. There's, of course, other people who do not have experiences who are like, okay, this is just your standard internet urban legend. But part of the reason so many people do believe they're real is because the physical similarities and the behavioral similarities, I'll say, are so close to what so many people have experienced. They think it's more than just your standard creepy child, you know, like they think that it is something, which we will get into in a little bit. But just to break down the general physical description that all of these stories share, first and most obviously, all of these kids have fully black eyes. So no pupil, no iris, no white. It's just a black hole where your eye is supposed to be. They also are typically very pale, and sometimes they're described as kind of thin and lanky. That's not a super prominent one. It's not like a requirement, but it's just, they're just very pale, kind of oddly shaped kids, or like notably shaped kids, just like an awkward, rigid, you know, I was describing that kind of proper, I like the word I want to stick to is just rigid. Like they're standing up straight. They're not really moving. It's almost robotic. You know, it's almost like they don't know how to move their bodies. They're also typically between the ages of 8 and 12. And a lot of stories mention that they're wearing hooded sweatshirts, which I'm not entirely sure why that would be part of it. It could just be like if they want to help hide their faces, hide their eyes, or if it is some weird entity, they're trying to like attempt to appear like a child. I'm imagining like that one guy who's like, hey, fellow kids, you know what I'm saying?
This is what the humans wear.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get from it.
Okay. Interesting that it's always kids.
So that's the thing. Like, they're always kids. They typically appear a lot more mature than their actual age, which maybe let's go down that rabbit hole, because like that kind of lends itself to the theory about like what exactly they are and what exactly they want. Because the thing with black-eyed kids is no one can seem to agree on what they are or what they want. One of the things that they all have in common is that they will all try to say things to get you to let them into your car or your home, similar to a vampire, to your point from earlier. It is thought that if you let them in, something bad will happen. But what that bad thing is, or why they want bad things to happen to you, I don't know if there's any concise, specific reason for it. That's just kind of the lore, and we'll go into a little more detail and some stories about that later. But yeah, that's one theory as to what their kind of motive is. Some people think that they're just little demons, like devil's minions type things, and it's thought that if you let them in, you're essentially inviting Satan into your life,
of course,
and horrible things will follow. I really didn't realize that was one of the things.
You were going to take a break from Satan.
I really thought this had nothing to do with Satan, I promise. This is just one theory. We don't know for sure that has anything to do with Satan. It could have to do with many other things, one of which is aliens. Another theory is that people believe they could be aliens and they're trying to like mimic human behavior in order to get closer to us, to like study us. And this one's my favorite because the reason people think they could be children is they're this like random alien race that is very tiny, so they're literally forced to mimic children due to like size restraints. I love that. I think that's great.
That's so fucking funny.
Isn't that funny? Like,
to be forced to pretend to be a juvenile.
You have to pretend. So that would explain why they're more mature than their age would suggest, because they're like some weird alien that's actually thousands of years old or something, you know? Yeah. Because you're tiny.
Like that a lot. That's
funny. I do too. Or what if this, I'm just going off the rails here. What if like the aliens themselves are not small? It's just these are the smallest aliens. So due to their size, they're forced into having this role of mimicking children on Earth. It's like, I'm trying to think of
Dad,
what.
I just want to dance. And he's like, no, you're going to go to Earth and be a black-eyed kid.
You have to be a BEK. Yeah, exactly.
Just like your dad.
That's your dream, Dad. Yeah.
But not mine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I'm also
I like
getting
that one.
changeling vibes as well.
That I'm sure that that's not one that I found during the discussion, or not discussion, during research, but I'm sure that is also, it could be anything. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're just black-eyed children. What and why is like a big question mark. There's also people that literally, there is no explanation for what they are. They just are what they are. And a black-eyed child is its own entity. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an alien, it's not a demon, it's not this, it's not that. It's just, they are their own thing, you know?
And that's valid. I shouldn't be putting labels on them.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, this is a short list. I'm kind of just rolling through them. This is just a short list of theories of what they are, or I should say could be. But who knows? It's not something that is certainly, I'm going to say, studyable or knowable, in my opinion. I don't know how you could even go about figuring that out. But there's people who try. There's many people who are on a hunt to determine what these things are and what they want. But part of the reason people are so determined to figure out what exactly they are is because the number of stories about them have grown ever since this original, quote unquote, originally documented, I will say, story showed up in 1996 from Brian. Since then, the legend has circulated, and it just, again, kind of continues to grow over time. And while a lot of people credit Brian's story as kind of being an early version of like a creepypasta or just internet joke or prank, he himself maintains that it actually happened to him. And in 2012, he appeared on an episode of a show called Monsters and Mysteries in America. Did you ever watch that?
No.
It's like one of those, like, yeah, exactly. You know what it is. But he retold his story, and the episode was like about his story, and he insisted it actually happened, and he stands by it. I don't think it ever came out as like a prank or anything like that. So then, you know, he maintained it, people stuck by it, people started having their own stories, and in 2014, news of black-eyed children spread internationally when it got 3 different front page spreads in the tabloid The Daily Star. The stories detailed how this one pub in Staffordshire,
Staffordshire,
was allegedly haunted by black-eyed children. So this is a tabloid newspaper. It's not traditionally thought of as fact or anything that is actually newsworthy, but, you know, to be fair, seeing something like this in print kind of lends a level of, I'm going to say, like, subconscious credibility to a story like this. Like, people up until this point had seen this online or word of, like, didn't see it at all. They just like heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that they had a weird experience one time a million years ago. So seeing it on the front page of this, whether it was a tabloid or not, it's still a newspaper. So people, it kind of jumped from the word of mouth urban legend to, this is now something we can like put a picture to and put a name to. And it just made things a lot more real for people. And then after that, the legend kind of like skyrocketed. And so many people were like, oh my God, I know about these. I've seen black-eyed kids. I've done this. I've done that. It like kind of amplified things quite a bit. And I will say, I don't think that the articles in that newspaper were like truly black-eyed children. I think it was just like this creepy looking ghost child was haunting this pub, but at least one of them was. I do think one of them was like true to the legend. I think the other ones were just ghost kid stories. But even still, like, exactly. Yeah, I want to know what pub it was. Maybe we can look in.
We can probably find out.
I'm sure, yeah, what I was reading it was focused on the fact that the articles existed, not like where it was happening. So I'm sure we can find that out. Then we can go there and we can talk to the ghost kids.
Yes.
So since the story became so popular, a lot of other really prominent versions of the story kind of became part of the lore. So it wasn't just, Brian and his experience, but there have been other experiences that have become some of, like, I'm going to say, like, a big kahuna to prove that black-eyed kids exist. And one of them happened as recently as 2016. I could not find the origin of this story, and I couldn't find where it was originally written, who originally posted it, or where. So I'm going to keep looking because I'm very curious now, because one of the things about black-eyed children that I told you about is that it's so hard to find the original origin of all of these stories. And Brian's is still to this day the most well-known. Everything seems to be like it's shared somewhere, posted somewhere, and then eventually everyone knows about it, but no one knows where they heard it from. So this one happened in Vermont, and as the story goes, an elderly couple was settling in one snowy winter's night. They lived in a rural area of Vermont, and suddenly, as they were settling in, getting cozy for the evening, they heard a knock at the door. The woman opened the door and found a young boy and a young girl standing there alone in the cold. And they weren't dressed appropriately for the weather. They had no coat, no boots. They just did not seem like they should be out in this weather at night the way they were, So the children told them that their parents would, quote, be here soon, and they asked if they could wait for them inside. The couple was immediately cautious. They described that they had a very similar feeling that Brian did. There was like this unexplainable sense of dread, it just did not. We see two kids who just need to wait for the parents real quick. The natural response is, oh my God, of course, like, come on in, you're safe, blah, blah, blah. But they weren't feeling that. They were feeling very hesitant and very just kind of creeped out by these kids. They felt like something was not right. Despite this, they couldn't bring themselves to leave them just alone in this, middle of the winter, in the middle of the night. So they invite them in, which is why I'm so scared of black-eyed kids, because can you see me? Like, can you imagine? I would never. I'm like, I want to save all the babies all the time.
I know.
I'm so at risk of letting a child into my home.
Just don't open the door, ever.
I won't. Oh my God. I will, though, probably, actually. Okay, so they let them in, much like I would, and they decide to make some hot cocoa. So the children are just sitting there. They didn't explain why they were out in the cold. They didn't say where their parents were or where they were coming from or when they would get there. They just didn't say anything. They were not having any small talk. So as they were sitting there, the woman goes into the kitchen to go make some hot cocoa. And one of the couple's 4 cats started to get really agitated and started getting just progressively more upset. And she started hissing at the kids and like backing away from them and just did not want to be anywhere near them. Which, yes.
Animals fucking know. Animals know.
They know. Your animals always know what's happening, which is why I'm so scared of Cinnamon all the time. Because, like, what are you seeing? So when the wife came back from making the hot cocoa, she like entered the room head on, and was like facing them head on. And that's when she noticed that their eyes were all completely black. And she described them as having basically, what I have described previously. They just had 2 black holes where their eyes were supposed to be. Every description of these kids, it's more than just black eyes. It's like it's like a void, like there is nothing there, So when I say black hole, I mean like literally not just 2 black holes in your face, but like a space black hole. Like there's nothing there, Is
it like they are missing eyes and in the eye socket there's a black void, or is it like there's still eyeballs but the void is in the eyeballs?
The first one. It's like there's nothing there. Yeah.
Oh, that's so much creepier.
It's like, it's not like there's eyeballs and they are black like a doll's would be or something, like it's not like that. It's like empty, but not empty in the way that you see flesh or anything gross like biologically. It's like it's the void, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the exact moment that she noticed their eyes, the power suddenly goes out. Which,
Fuck that.
hard no. Absolutely not. That's a no from me forever. She went down the hall to see if she could get the lights to turn back on, you know, whatever the electrical boxes. I don't know. I don't deal with any of that shit. And as she's going down the hall, she could hear the children say, "Our parents have arrived." Yeah. I know. So they get up from the couch and just as quietly as they came in, they go outside, leaving the door wide open, and they go out to this car that was there parked, you know, on the street waiting for them. The wife claimed that she was feeling extremely uneasy. She was like, this is just an objectively weird situation, whether these children had eyeballs or not, you know? So she peeks outside the door just to, you know, wave them away, like, goodbye, you're welcome for the shelter and hot cocoa and thanks for cursing us. I don't know. So when she looks outside, she sees the silhouette of these two men in the darkness, and they were both very tall and very slender, and she waved at them and they just ignored her and, you know, took the kids and they all drove off. So power comes back on. Husband and wife are like, that's fucking weird, but just like kind of carried on. As the story goes, in the following weeks, some odd things started happening to the couple. 3 of their 4 cats just randomly started going missing. And the 4th one, the one that didn't like the kids, that was like sounding the alarm, trigger warning, was found dead, just randomly with no explanation and no cause of death. The husband, who was not really doing much in the story, he was just kind of hanging with the kids while she was, you know, getting the cocoa and all of that. He started to have nosebleeds that were kind of unexplainable to the point where he had to go to the doctor. And when he went to the doctor, he was diagnosed with a very aggressive skin cancer from which he would later die.
Oh, God.
So that's the story. That's like the most, I don't want to say most recent because I don't know if there have been, well, I do know there have been more black-eyed children claims, but this is the latest, like, big one that circulates. And again, no one knows even if it's real or not, but there's so many people who genuinely do, because they, like, the formula of, you know, a child knocking at your door in the middle of night and looking for help, that has happened to people who genuinely claim that it has actually really happened. So, you know, there's, I don't want to say debate. I don't know if debate's the right word, but it's almost like, are there so many people in on this that are just having fun and spreading this rumor and sharing these stories? Or is this really happening to some people, and the people who let them in are like people like this, like things just inexplicably. Oh my God, I cannot say that word. How do you say that word?
It's not hard. Inexplicably.
I don't like that word. What's a synonym?
I refuse.
I refuse. I've said it before on this podcast. Why can't I say it?
Unexplainably. Is that a word?
Shit happens out of the blue. But yeah, so that's kind of the discussion around black-eyed kids, is like, it started with this one very specific description in Texas, and all of these people claim that it's real, but if you've not experienced it, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily ascribe to believing in them, but I think a big reason I choose not to believe in them is because I know that I am at risk of falling victim to them. I would never leave a child alone on my porch, ever.
No. This
but
falls
like, I feel like I would have to.
This falls into the category of things that I am going to believe in just in case.
Me too. That's how I feel about demons too.
Yes, exactly.
Me too.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't believe this, but deep down I do, because if I don't, I feel like I'm in danger.
Yeah. I don't want to be caught slacking when the kids turn
mm-hmm.
up.
Yes, exactly. So I think one of the things that lends itself to this being believable is the fact that this original story, this legend didn't really spread like wildfire. It spread very slowly, and it only spread when other people came into the mix to say, I also have a story like this. It wasn't like oh, did you hear the one about the guy who blah, 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 blah? Like that did happen, but it wasn't like the, like the urban legends we shared, where it's like, oh, there's the guy in the back seat and the truck was flashing his light. Like everyone's heard that story. It wasn't like that. It was like you knew it if you experienced it, So that was one of the reasons that a lot of people do end up believing it, because they believe it because it's validating to them as someone who has also allegedly experienced something like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To this day, stories continue to come out, especially with the increase in popularity of podcasts like this and paranormal shows, because that has given a platform to a lot more people. When you write into a show and are able to say, hey, I had an experience like this, and then all these other people are hearing it, it's more likely that people are going to share their stories and believe those stories. So if you have any stories about black-eyed kids, let us know, because I don't want to believe you, but totally do, because that shit's scary. So let us know if you have any experiences with this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just it's a really new urban legend. It's not that old, and it didn't really start becoming popular as a true urban legend, I would say, until after the millennium. Probably like 2010s, I would say, is when the other stories started gaining traction. But yeah, I did find a few Reddit stories. A lot of them were very long, but I'm gonna read one here now that creeped me out. So the person who posted this, their account has either been deleted or they're just anonymous or it was archived. Anyway, there was no name, but I'm going to read it anyway. So it says, my great-grandma lived in a small town in New Mexico. She claims this story happened when she was younger. I'm assuming she was around her 30s, so it would have been 1950s or 60s-ish. Which I love that that's a great-grandma, because that's when my grandmother was in her 30s. Anyway, we're going to just move past that. So she was home at night getting a snack before bed when she heard someone knocking on her front door. She lives literally in the middle of the desert with no neighbors anywhere, so it was very strange that someone was knocking on her door in the middle of the night. She went to answer the door, and there was a child with their back turned toward her. They wanted to come in and asked her if she could give them something to eat. She refused because it was the middle of the night and, like, who are you? That was me at living, but, like, massive question mark. And that's when they turned around to show her their face, and they had the blackest eyes she had ever seen. She thought it was a demon and closed and locked her front door. She claims to have heard knocking and banging on the door and windows for hours and hours until the sun finally came up.
Oh my God.
So I thought it was interesting when I was looking for stories, and someone mentioned this in one of the threads, that so many of these stories happened in New Mexico, and a lot of others happened in various states in the Southwest. Like, this first story took place in Texas, and a lot of the people, were in New Mexico, and there were some other, like Nevada was a big one too. Okay. So I'm kind of like, that's where the fucking aliens are here in America.
Yeah,
not all of
man.
them, but like maybe it's like the Roswell aliens who are coming and just like sprinkling all throughout the Southwest. So I thought that was interesting, just location being a factor. Not every claim of black-eyed child. Yeah, it does.
Safer.
It does.
Yeah.
Except this second story, the snow one, that took place in Vermont. But that's still far away from me.
That's still far.
So don't answer your door, don't talk to children, and stay safe out there. I don't know what else to tell you.
It's interesting because we've talked about so many types of paranormal beings on this podcast that have so much lore behind them, like vampires and the whole needing to be invited in stuff, and werewolves and the moon and all of the lore that goes behind that. It's almost creepier when it's something like this and there's not a catalog of lore to back it up, because it ramps up the mystery factor and it makes it so unsettling, especially because it's kids. There's something about demonic kids, because it's that subversion of what you think of when you think of children. Like, they're supposed to be fun and innocent and harmless for the most part, and then this, and it's just so
yeah. I mean, that's the thing with creepy kids, is a lot of kids, literally all kids are creepy, but in the way that, like, most of the time we project things on them. Like, if a kid is talking to themselves, it's easy to be like, oh, they're just playing, or they have an imaginary friend. It's like, okay, but what the fuck, what if that imaginary friend is a demon? Like, Amityville. That's horrifying. I do not have a black-eyed kid story, thankfully.
Good.
Yet, I'm going to say, just in case. But I do have so many creepy kid stories, and I'm going to tell one. I have proof of my story. This is so creepy. Okay. Hold on. This thing has been folded for like 10 years, so just bear with me.
I'm kind of nervous.
So, okay. As a little bit of background, I worked as a babysitter literally my whole life, like starting from 4th grade through college. Then after college, I worked as a full-time nanny. So literally, if anyone on earth has a creepy kid story, it is me. I have a creepy kid story for every single kid that has ever been in my life. This one I'm about to tell is one of my favorites because it still kind of fucks me up a little bit because it feels very personal, and I still, like, I don't know if I believe it myself, but like I also do. So I'm just going to tell it, and I'd like to hear what people think, but only if you believe me, because otherwise I don't want to hear what you have to say. So I'm actually going to tell this backwards. I'm gonna tell a future story, and then I'm gonna go back to the actual kid story. So this is additional background. I once went to this event with friend of the pod, Chloe. Nice. And I've mentioned this in a previous podcast episode. At this event, we were doing it was like meditation, breath work, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then at the very end of it, you got your aura photographed. And the person taking the aura photo would read your aura. Like, she'd give you a kind of mini psychic reading based on this photograph. But shortly after my grandma died, so I think 2016, and I got my aura photo taken, and it was this big, like, blob of yellow. Like, it was so opaque that you literally could not even see me in this photo. And one of the things that the woman said was, a lot of times when people have an aura that looks like that, it indicates like kind of the obvious, like you put up walls, like your guard is up. It's like that type of thing. So I'm sitting there like, okay, how is she going to like give me a reading on myself if she literally can't even see me? But she's telling me all this stuff that's irrelevant to the story. But one of the things she said was she could see a woman in the photo with me, and she was describing her. And one of the things she said was that she had kind of bird-like features, and she reminded her almost of like a crow. Like, she looked like a bird, but she had very dark features. And one thing that I literally never in my life, this is the first time I've ever said this out loud, I always felt like my grandma reminded me of a crow. Literally every time I saw her, I would like that's just how she felt to me. Like, I always felt like she had kind of crow-like features because she was very small but dark and a little bit scary.
Okay.
Like, that was just who she was to me. So the woman giving me this reading, she was talking about this crow, in this photo with me, and it was shortly after my grandma had died. And I was like, kind of like, okay, that's weird, but I wasn't really thinking much of it at the time. It was one of those things where I realized after the fact that the physical features that she had described to me did match my grandma. And it wasn't until later that I remembered this other story, which is why I'm telling this story not chronologically. So, about a year prior, so a few months before my grandma died, I was, at work as a nanny with this family. I'm not going to say the kids' names, but there was a little girl who was about 5 at the time, and she had a little brother who was 3. And we were doodling one day. We had a little yellow legal pad that she was just kind of rapid fire artworking. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like one of those, like, she was just like rolling through, like, here's a picture, here's a picture, here's a picture. Mm-hmm. And at one point she says she's going to draw a picture of me and her. And this is a notable part of the story because she was mad at her brother for something. And she made a point to say she was just going to draw a picture of the two of us. He's not going to be in the picture. Like, this is like a notable thing. It's like, okay, whatever. So she draws this picture of the two of us and she gives it to me. And my response was, oh, that's so nice of you to include your brother in this picture. And she said, I didn't. And I was like, okay, there's 3 people in this picture that you just drew. You're telling me that's not, and I say his name. She said, no, that's just you and me and your friend. And I said, my what? She said, yeah, that's the friend that's always over your shoulder.
Oh! Ooh! What the fuck?
Yeah. So, I just was sitting there and I was like, my heart rate's literally elevated as I tell this story because it freaked me out so bad. But she would say random things and she would make up stories. She was very, like, imaginative. So I kind of, like, did a little joke and was like, oh, like, is my friend there now? Like, trying to, like, calm myself down because I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And she just kind of left it. She was like, she said it very, like, yeah, like, that's your friend that's always there. And she didn't seem scared. She didn't seem, like, weirded out or anything. I just kind of explained it away. In this picture, she drew my hair very wild. She was always obsessed with my hair because she had very straight hair. And my hair is, like, curly wavy. She always told me that she loved my wiggly hair. So aww. I was thinking, okay, maybe she just went crazy with my hair and, like, it accidentally looks like a face. I'm sending you the picture that she drew me. I found it in my desk the same day that I found Coco's card. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
That is the exact spot that the woman who was giving me the aura reading said that someone was with me in the photo. It's over my left shoulder.
Yeah.
And then she's the one, like, next to me.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Isn't that so creepy? Also, so I'm like, okay, I know. That was such a coincidence that I found it when I did, too, because, like, I found it just a few weeks ago when we were recording the other episode. I can't believe I still have it. But, yeah, I'm like, okay, did I have, like, a demon attached to me? Or did this child predict my grandmother's death? That's where I'm at. Those are my 2 options. You don't have to decide now.
I was like, maybe it's not a demon.
This is why I'm, like, struggling to tell this story because, like, I can't fully express how, like, thrown off I was by this because she was so blasé about it and she was insistent that it was not her little brother.
About kids. When they say the scariest shit in the world, they say it with the confidence of, like, a professor.
Yeah.
And it's just nothing. I'm, like, shaking right now. It's like a throwaway. Thinking. Oh my gosh.
And the thing is, I think that, like, if my grandma had not died shortly thereafter, and then this other woman, I didn't go into detail, but she very specifically described what my grandmother looked like. Like, there was no, like, after I thought about it, I was like, I felt very comforted by that aura reading because it was so clearly my grandma. This one, I'm like, are we sure it's my grandma? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, God, I was scared of this one. I was like, that's very much something I'm telling myself for comfort. Because, like, she drew some creepy looking things. There's a picture of some other stuff that she drew that I was like, oh my God. If I didn't know you were, like, safe because you're with me all the time, that I would be creeped out. I'd be, like, reporting some of these pieces to people.
Is she the same kid who made you that sculpture?
Of course she is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That ornament that I put on my tree every year. I'll share a picture of that too. It's my favorite ornament. It's the first one that goes up every single year, and it will be my favorite until the day I die. I'm sorry. It's so just funny. The most pristine thing I've ever seen in my life. Do you love how she did my hair though? That's
I fucking love
and then her hair is just two little lines. That's straight and curly hair. Yeah.
This is so cute and so creepy at the same time.
And so creepy. Like, what is that? And she was insistent. Like, that's all she would tell me, is it was the friend that's always, like, over my shoulder.
At least she said friend. That is a good sign.
She did say friend, and she was not scared or, like, weird about it. So, like, I never got the vibe that it was anything bad other than the fact that, like, this is objectively creepy.
Are you going to post a picture of this on, like, social or something? So
yeah, I'll share it.
Our friends can see. Cool.
Yeah, it'll be in the YouTube, creepy. And we'll put it in when we post, like, the whatever they're called.
I love when you tell me stories about this little girl.
Yeah, I'll share a picture of that ornament too because I'm obsessed. I take a picture of it every Christmas because I'm so scared I'm gonna, like, something's gonna happen to it or I'm gonna delete the pictures. And I don't ever want to not have documentation of this.
Cute.
I love it. It's the best.
I love it. It's so cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the Creepy Kid story. For all of the Creepy Kid stories today. What a way to kick off Creepy Kid Month.
That's it.
Until next time, little spoons. Keep it cool.
Keep it creepy.